Hello and welcome to Silverstone for Eurosport's coverage of the British Grand Prix. Day one, already it's early in the morning, but the temperature and the atmosphere building steadily. Coming up in this programme, we take a look around this circuit, not so much a track, more of a business park. We have all the news from the pit lane and of course coverage of the first qualifying session. With me, John Watson. John, the season really building up to be a lot closer than we might have expected earlier on.
Yes, and what's really happened this year is that Ferrari have got their act together. The last two Grand Prix have fallen to Alan Prost, but Nigel Mansell will want to win at Silverstone. And I have to say, for the first time this season, I have to make Ferrari the team I favour to win. McLaren Honda, who have previously been my choice, are going through a period, maybe let's say they're in the doldrums. They're working very hard, but this circuit I think will suit Ferrari, and most of all will suit Nigel Mansell.
Thanks very much, John. A lot more from you coming up later in the programme. For now, let's take a look round Silverstone. There's a lot more happening than just Formula One racing, as Andrew Marriott has been finding out.
Yes, Matthew, Silverstone is indeed an industrial complex these days. All kinds of companies here building and preparing racing cars for various different formulas. There's go-karts, there's trucks being prepared for racing, there's tuning companies. There's all kinds of different companies, but one of the better known racing teams here is Richard Lloyd Racing with their Porsche 962s, which raced recently at Le Mans and of course race in the whole of the World Championship. And Richard planning to build his own sports cars next year. Evidence of success in the past, and the Pink Panther, which we all saw at Le Mans. And here's a car we saw at Le Mans, now owned by the rock drummer Nick Mason. It was driven, of course, by our own John Watson. Well, from Le Mans cars of the present to Le Mans cars of the past. RMS Engineering, rebuild, pre-war and post-war racing classics.
Oh, it's a 1931 Alfa Romeo Zagato. That's the shape we picked it up in from the yard. And this is what it turns out to be.
Now, what do we got here?
That is what the car will look like when it's finished.
And in how many months' time?
That should be ready in 2 months' time from the stage now. But the car has been built up as a running car before we stripped it to paint it.
Back to the modern day, and the Daihatsu factory rally team is also based at Silverstone and run by Dawson Auto Developments. A couple of years ago, Dawson-run Audi Quattros went and won the Hong Kong to Beijing rally from this Silverstone base. Every little bit of space at Silverstone is utilised. In the back of this workshop is another company. It's called the Witch Sign Company. And they do what they say. They make signs, and they make them for racing cars and rally cars. And here they are turning out yet another batch for a rather special customer. This is perhaps the smallest business at Silverstone, just a two-girl business, and there you see some of the vinyls that they bake the stickers from. Eurosport. Well, now to the real high-tech. In fact, from the outside of racing cars to the very inside, the engine management systems. Here at Racetech Microchips, they've developed the engine management systems for a number of Indianapolis cars and various other race and rally cars also. A very successful little bit of the sub. Silverstone also sees companies specialising in Nissan 240Zs, while another company just looks after Reliant GTEs. That's Robin Roo's company. If you want to get your GTE prepared, this is the place to come. Silverstone also makes its own Formula Ford cars. This is Zeus, and they actually manufacture the Formula Ford cars that the pupils use at the John Watson Performance Centre. Peter Sneller runs this operation, and he's developed a Formula Ford car which will fit the fattest and thinnest, shortest and tallest pupils. Well, there's some of the racing car transporters waiting to take the cars off to their various forays across Europe. And there's a name in the news, Eddie Jordan Racing. Last year from these Silverstone workshops, they won the European Formula 3000 Championship. Jordan very much in the news with their Formula One plans hitting the headlines. Well, Silverstone's certainly seen a lot of Grand Prix cars racing around its circuit, but this is the first Grand Prix car to be actually designed on the circuit, and indeed this drawing off is just above the Formula 3000 workshop. The final lines going on detailed parts of the forthcoming Jordan car. Jordan next year will of course have to pre-qualify. 8 a.m. Friday morning, and there was a very big crowd here at Silverstone to watch the 9 cars battling for those 4 vital places. No big surprises in pre-qualifying. The 2 Larousse Lamborghinis were as quick as ever, and some of the cars that are usually slow were as slow as ever. But it is Eric Bernard who set the pace, did not take to the track until the second half hour of the 1 hour session. Remember, cars have 3 sets of qualifying tyres for this special session, and there is Eric Bernard, also looking much better, as he did of course a week ago in France. The AGS team, and in particular Gabriele Tarquini. The man with a spider web on his crash helmet was always in the top 4, and indeed he was able to pre-qualify with a time of 1 minute 11.516. Well, this man didn't get in last week, Oliver Griard from the south of France with the Osella. It was a different story this weekend. He made it 4th fastest. Not much hope though for Bertrand Gachot in the Subaru Coloni, that car with the flat 12 engine, and news that Subaru have sold the team back to the Italian entrepreneur Enzo Coloni. As usual, the car circulated slowly, and at Silverstone there was an oil mist following it. The car sounded distinctly rough and rarely ran on anything more than 9 or 10 of the 12 cylinders.
You know, it's motor racing. This was a new project and a new engine, and we had quite a few problems with it, and today even more. It's a shame because, you know, 3 years ago I came here with Formula 3000, and I was on pole position with a time which was as quick as what I did today. And you know, it just seems a shame, but I hope we will get the new engine now from Hockenheim on Cosworth, and I hope we can do something good then.
How do you motivate yourself? You come here, you didn't really expect to pre-qualify even, because you know what the car's like. How do you pump yourself up?
Well, it's difficult, but I enjoy driving, and also the car is much too heavy and is nearly impossible to pre-qualify. It's good fun to drive, and really I'm looking for the future, because when we get at Hockenheim I hope we have more chances. We'll see then.
What does the future hold?
I think we may be in a position to qualify.
So let's look at those times. Eric Bernard fastest, 1:10.254. Second Aguri Suzuki, 1:11.128. Third Gabriele Tarquini, 1:11.516. And fourth, the last one to get in, Gruyard, 1:11.953. Those that didn't make it, Roberto Moreno again, Yannick Damas, Langes, Gachot and Giacomelli.
Well, we've just taken advantage of the superb weather to take a break for a few well-earned minutes. But before I go any further, let me first introduce Alan Tyndall, who'll be joining the team for Germany and Belgium. Alan, what did you reckon to pre-qualifying here?
Very interesting. I mean, the 2 Larousses are up front there. I'm particularly interested in Suzuki because he seems to be very much a coming man. He was 7th last weekend in France. He's had a lot of sports car experience and a lot of shunts indeed in that too. But he seems to be now getting it really right.
Would you go along with that, John?
Yes, I know Aguri Suzuki quite well because of the Toyota World Sports Car Championship connection, and he's a young Japanese driver who I believe has got a lot of potential. Along with Nakajima, they're the beginning of a wave of Japanese drivers coming into Formula One, and as Japanese companies become more involved in Formula One, I expect to see more Japanese drivers coming into Grand Prix racing.
Well, gentlemen, thanks very much. Well, of course, one man to whom Silverstone means a lot is Nigel Mansell, Britain's number 1. Andrew Marriott has been speaking to him about the race and the track itself.
Yes, let's listen to Nigel's view of the circuit, as he told various Eurosport guests at the recent test session.
Basically, we're actually starting the lap here, and we go past this point just in front at 282 or 290 kilometres an hour. which is roughly speaking, you can say 180 just here. So before you get into Copse just behind us, you're probably over 190 miles now, 195. You change down in our particular car down from 7th to 5th, and you just turn in and floor it. You exiting and you just touch the curb. You're up to 6th, up to 7th before you go around Maggots. And then going into Beckett's, you're probably upwards of 195 again. You're changing down 2 gears very quickly, down to 5th again. Slingshotted into Maggots. Very important corner, because after this corner you've got Church and Hanger Straight. So the exit speed of this corner is vital for overtaking in the race. And you go around there obviously as quickly as you can, using all the circuit, 6, 7, and then going down Hanger Straight, you're actually, because we've got a 7-speed box, it allows us, 7th is only an overdrive, it's not sort of really a gear, it's only about 500 revs difference. And you are then doing over 200 miles an hour. I mean, depending on the wind and depending whether you get a tow, you can actually get up to 215 if you wanted to. And then going into Stowe, this is the most unbelievable corner. I slipped down to 6th gear because it's so close to 7th. And I was hitting the rev limit there yesterday, and I hit the rev limit this morning when I broke the track record. And just as a matter of interest, I asked my engineer what was the speed when in 6th gear when it hits the limiter, you see. So when he told me, I wish I hadn't, because it's close to 300 kilometres, which is over 180 mile an hour that we're going around the corner. That's around Stowe, and Club is even faster. So we exit in Stowe at that speed, we're probably getting up to 190 between the corners, and then we're just scrubbing off 5, 10 mile an hour at the most round Club. Flicking it into top gear, exiting Club. Round Abbey, absolutely. The greatest thing is when you're qualifying, you set the car up and you have titanium rubbing the strips. Sometimes it's just nice deliberately to drive over the bumpy parts, because the actual sparks, it's just like a firework display behind, and it's reasonably impressive even sitting in the car because you get the smell. And it's good also when you know someone's following you, especially when they're competitors, because you can burn them. And plus they can't see, plus it pits the visor, giving you all the inside whatnot there. And then going around Abbey, up into underneath the Daily Express Bridge, again over 200 miles an hour, braking like crazy, and then down to 2nd gear, through the chicane, exiting as fast as you can, then you actually, the astonishing thing, you come through the chicane, probably less than 40-50 miles an hour. You've got less than 500 yards from the chicane to here, and in that amount of time you've accelerated up to over 180 miles an hour. You see, people don't realise that you can, from a standing start up to 200 miles an hour, and stop again in less than 14 seconds is not bad.
The day before qualifying, and fun time for the Grand Prix drivers, at least those sponsored by Camel, down at the Green Man. This year they'd laid on a clay pigeon shoot and also some driving in the Camel Trophy Land Rovers. Martin Donnelly proving to be quite a sharp shot. Of course, several Grand Prix drivers have tried their hand at the big mechanic shoot at Glen Eagles in December, so this wasn't that new to them. Well, Martin not happy with that, and Derek Warwick being bothered by the rapeseed flies. They go for the camel yellow shirts, you see. Independent journalist Maurice Hamilton tries his hand. And the press take the pictures. This is what you call a photo opportunity. It was also my opportunity to talk to Martin Donnelly about the forthcoming Silverstone race.
Martin, it's going to be a big weekend for you, your first ever British Grand Prix in Formula One.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it hasn't sunk in. To be realistic, it hasn't sunk in. I mean, since I was in my teens, you know, I've been going to the British Grand Prix every year. And the fact that I'll be the far side of the fence, and I'll be out there on Sunday, you know, it's a dream come true. You know, it's one of my goals in life which have been achieved. And I just hope that I have a good run at it.
In 1981, the race was won by an Ulsterman. That's too much to expect this year, isn't it?
I think it's a bit of a long shot, maybe, you know, in years to come. But I have to say I've been given a fantastic opportunity by Camel Team Lotus. We did some testing here about 2 weeks ago. When we had a good session, we learnt a lot about the car. and we backtracked over the things we found in Mexico and Montreal, made sure we weren't going in the wrong direction. And you know, it's my home Grand Prix. I always give 100%, but it's special to a driver. You know, you had an Italian win the Italian Grand Prix, you had a Frenchman win the French Grand Prix, and I think this weekend you're going to see a British driver win the British Grand Prix. I'll not say which one. You give 100%, but for the British Grand Prix, when you get the crowd behind you, you always find that extra little bit, and you know, I'm just thoroughly looking forward to it.
More fun for the Lotus drivers as Derek Warwick was persuaded to have a go in that Camel Trophy Land Rover blindfold with Martin Donnelly shouting the instructions.
4, 3, 2, 1, go. Right hand down, right hand down. Left, 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 a lot left, all left. Left, left. Now we're going down in reverse here. Okay, right. Reverse. 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 Already?
Also enjoying the fun was Derek's wife Rhonda and the kids. Well, a bit of light amusement there before the hard work of Friday.
His left from his bloody right, that was the problem. We started off bad. Now he can't get out of the corner.
Well, that was all good fun, but coming up, the serious part. We'll have the highlights of the first timed practice session right after the break.
Time to focus on qualifying. A man very much in the news because he is going out to attempt to qualify for a Grand Prix for the 200th time. It's Riccardo Patrese from Padova in Italy. Very promising times during the test 2 weeks ago, and Riccardo undoubtedly going to be one of the quick men during today's 1 hour session. Patrese, the air tube is plugged in. A new pair of gloves, especially for the occasion. Remember, during the test, it was Nigel Mansell who had set the pace down in the 1-minute 7s. But it did appear that today would be a little slower as the cars go out, and we found Barry Sheene in the pits.
Well, look who I found in the pits, double motorcycle world champion Barry Sheene. Enjoying it, Barry?
Yeah, I've just come over here for Phillips and Channel 9, and so noisy, isn't it?
Much noise in motorbike racing, isn't it?
I know, that's the problem. It's good fun to watch cars. I think it's better to sit at home and watch it on the television, actually.
What about competition? Do you miss it? You haven't raced for a little while. Last time I was in a truck.
I'm in business now, Andy. I don't have to know. I don't. You know, I get all the competition I want out of my business activities. So no, I don't miss it at all. I certainly don't miss laying in hospital.
Certainly looking very fit. Water skiing a lot down there in the surfer's paradise.
I don't drink, don't smoke, and do a lot of exercise.
Ayrton Senna out on the racetrack. And when Ayrton Senna goes qualifying with a set of super sticky tyres on, you have to watch out. And indeed, the pits all concentrating. Davy Ryan there. Senna building up to speed. The team smarting a little bit after their defeat in France a week ago. And Senna putting a wheel over the curb and determined to show who is boss at Silverstone. And really flying now, Ayrton Senna. Senna here on his first set of qualifying tyres. A couple of slower men in the way. Look at him working at the wheel. And through Woodcote Bend. And stopping my watch at 1 minute 08.7 seconds, the fastest so far. He'll want to go a bit quicker on the second set, no doubt. Confirmation on the McLaren pit board. 1 minute 8.7 puts Senna fastest. Meanwhile, this is something we see in every qualifying session. Every car is checked for weight sometime during the session. It's a random selection. And there you see the FIA scrutineers with their computerized equipment, and there the weight coming up. And that car, somewhere in the region of 600 kilos it weighs. So that's well over the weight limit, but it's obviously full of fuel. Patrese out. Patrese in a very confident mood indeed. on this a very special weekend for him. And look how full the grandstands are on this Friday qualifying. Well, the Renault V10 sounding sweet after some dramas in France. One of Patrase's favourite racetracks, and Patrese certainly looking quick indeed. There's Ricciardo. 1 minute 08.677, Patrese quickest. Let's talk to Frank Williams about Ricciardo's performance so far.
Well, Frank, Ricciardo's just come in, he's fastest. You must be quite happy with the performance so far.
Yeah, he's very quick, cars aren't bad, but it's very much a passing phase. I mean, we're only another 20 minutes to go in qualifying. I would think we'll stay in the top 2 or 3 rows, something like that anyway.
And I think you consider that qualifying's a bit of an ego trip, the way you describe it.
Well, it is a bit of an ego trip. You watch Prost's performance from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th row, sometimes you might say qualifying it's scarce irrelevant. That said, it's important to be at the front. But it's also important not to lose sight of the fact that the morning practices are probably more important.
While we were talking to Frank Williams, that man Senna did it again, went out on his second set of tyres, and his time 1 minute 08.071, 252.7 kilometres an hour, 157 miles per hour average around Silverstone, and that puts him on pole position. Could anyone answer back? Only 10 minutes left. Ron Dennis wondered. What about Gerhard Berger? Number 28, Gerhard Berger. There is the tall Austrian coming out on his second set of qualifying tyres. Would he have an answer for Senna's flying lap? Well, no question of doubt about it, he was really trying very hard. He has beaten Senna in qualifying this season, but he was meeting quite a bit of traffic out there. Berger on his quick one. Under the bridge, through the new complex. Woodcut corner as Nigel Mansell comes in. Mansell had recorded the 3rd quickest time, 1:08.336 to Mansell, but Berger had gone quicker. Berger's time 1:08.246, so it was going to be an all McLaren front row of the grid. Cesare Fiorio, the team manager, having a think about that at Ferrari. And I wonder what Nigel Mansell thought. If I'd had one more lap, I might have done it. That's what he's saying, but definitely Ayrton Senna on the pole position on Friday. In the back of the McLaren garage, there was really quite a scrum. Lots of microphones there, everyone wanting to speak to the Brazilian, and I got my microphone in and found out this.
The tires are very, very much on the limit for a full lap, and you have to be very careful at the beginning of the lap to make sure you finish in a good shape. On the other hand, there are some technical difficulties at the beginning of the lap which tend to slow you down, and it's difficult to catch up later. So it's very much on the edge to get it right or just get it wrong.
Ron, first day so far so good?
Yeah, it's not a bad result for the first day's practice. Gerhard had a bad missed gear on the first set of tyres, and we had to change all the ratios for his second. I think his time's down to the mechanics as much as him.
Plenty for McLaren to celebrate then. Senna and Berger on the front row of the grid in the red and white machines. Mansell and Patrese on row 2. On row 3, Fuchsen and Alan Prost in the Ferrari. On row 4, Jean Alesi in the Tyrrell, his Ford-powered car faster than the much more modern Ford engines of the two Benetton cars. It's Alesi, Suzuki, Bernard and Piquet rounding out the top 10. 11th and 12th, Nannini and Nakajima. 13th, Caffey, then it's Derek Warwick, Pierluigi Martini, Ivan Capelli, Martin Donnelly, Stefano Modena, Mauricio Gugelmin and Emanuele Pirro in 20th place. 21st, Barilla, 22nd, Alboreto, then it's the Cesaris, David Brabham, Nicola Aurini and Oliver Gruillard. The 4 not yet in, Alio, Tarquini, Leto and Wojtek.
Well, that's almost it for now, but before we go, I'd just like to ask Andrew Marriott for his thoughts on day one.
Well, what more could you ask for, Matt? Superb weather, stunning speeds, and Senna on absolute top form. Will he stay on the pole? Well, we're going to find out in Saturday's show.
We are indeed. Thanks very much, Andrew. Yes, day two here on Eurosport from the British Grand Prix at Silverstone.
Obviously, it's because I get less traffic than other people, but it's 1 hour there, is the same, is open for anybody at any time, and why I get less traffic, I don't know.
But it's not a question of luck getting less traffic. You actually choose your moments to go out on the track. Do you know what is happening on the track in terms of traffic?
I don't believe much in luck, because luck can work towards to you one or twice, but not consistent. So I think it's a question of choosing the right time to be out.
So when we see you sitting in the car and you're faced by the monitor screens, what are you actually reading there and what are you analysing there?
There are many things that you take in account before you actually come to something that you think is the answer. And therefore it's complex. It's simple and complex at the same time. It's not easy to answer, but definitely there are moments that you should, and there are moments that you shouldn't go out at all.
And the key to a fast qualifying lap, a pole position lap at Silverstone, what would that be?
At Silverstone you need a very powerful engine, because it's a fast circuit, high speed, long straights, and the power is fundamental here. You also need a very good balanced chassis, because the high speed corners require a good balance from entrance, mid corner, exit. So it's a difficult circuit, Silverstone. Difficult circuit, and in '88 was the first time I was not on pole here. In fact, both McLaren were second row after 7 races in the year. So it's a difficult circuit, particularly to McLaren chassis. We have good performance throughout the season in different circuits, but Silverstone is always the difficult one for us. And although we have good power, I think this year is going to be tough.
Well, he made pretty light work of it yesterday. In yesterday's opening time session, Ayrton Senna and his McLaren teammate Gerhard Berger, the two fastest drivers in that opening time session. Third fastest, and a little bit frustrated in the Ferrari, was Britain's Nigel Mansell, and he'll be desperately keen to improve on that in front of a huge crowd, his very loyal fans here at Silverstone this afternoon. So a very competitive final time session we're in for. Maybe that first 160-mile-an-hour qualifying lap around this circuit will be seen this afternoon.